women's mixed martial arts has had some well-known faces and several stars. Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, and Chris Cyborg are iconic names that many think of when discussing female fighters who significantly impacted the sport. But mixed martial arts has expanded so much that we've had female fighters who, even without being UFC champions and without ever stepping into the octagon, have been considered some of the best in the world. Today we're going to talk about one of these cases. A woman who remained undefeated for an extended period and became the champion of a major promotion. But she also faced challenges in life. Now she's a role model for others and a closet. Please welcome Kayla Harrison to the Ecoverso. Kayla Harrison was born on July 2nd, 1990 in Middletown, Ohio, United States. She was born into a working-class family and got into martial arts quite early, at just 6 years old. And her journey in Judo is a story full of many successes, but also quite tough, murky, and dark. Her mother had trained in Judo during her youth and had become a black belt, and she thought her daughter should start training too, in case someone wanted to mess with her.
Wow, I can't find any flaws in her logic.
Kayla started stepping onto the mats at around age 6. She showcased her talent, advancing in tournaments and competitions, winning 2 national judo championships by age 15. What challenges has she faced despite her accomplishments? Intelligence quotient tests can be controversial. Well, yes, on the surface everything seemed to be going great, but behind the success there was something pretty shady. Her coach, Daniel Doyle, abused her, especially since she was 13 years old. Son of a bitch. Young Kayla, unsure of what to do, told a judo teammate who then informed Kayla's mother. For this crime, the coach would end up behind bars with a 10-year sentence, probably a few beatings and several sausages up his ass. Regardless of the country, those who abuse women or children typically face harsh treatment in prison, which is widely considered a justified consequence. The thing is that after the coach's conviction, the family moved to Chicago where Kayla continued training, but she fell into a terrible depression, which made her think several times about the idea of going to meet St. Peter herself. But thanks to the support of her family and new coach, those thoughts gradually left her mind. Discussing her judo career would require a separate video due to her numerous medals and trophies. But without a doubt, the highlight of her career was the 2 Olympic gold medals she won in London 2012 and Rio de Janeiro 2016. And yes. Kayla trained and was a teammate of Ronda Rousey, who, in a way, also served as an inspiration for her to move to mixed martial arts. Medals and trophies aside, Olympic-level sports typically don't generate significant income for athletes. I can smell the poverty from here. He signed a contract with the defunct World Series of Fighting, supposedly to be a commentator. However, it was later revealed he would also fight in the promotion. The thing is, World Series of Fighting would go down the drain and become the Professional Fighters League. And that's where he ends up making his debut on June 21, 2018 at Professional Fighters League 2 facing Brittany Elkin at lightweight.
After this
opponent, she would get a free lesson in violent judo. Despite winning with a beautiful armbar. Damn it, I've been training for 17 years and I still can't pull off an armbar. I always say armbar. Despite winning with this beautiful armbar, I must say his defense was nearly absent. He endured severe blows.
she was a grappler who...
She was moved from the tatami to fight in the octagon. A few weeks later, she faced Josette Cotton and it turned into a war. By the third round, Harrison managed to control her opponent and landed some heavy blows, forcing the referee to stop the fight. Her next opponent, Muriel Charnetsky, would meet the same fate, after the protagonist dominated her and delivered a series of punches in under 4 minutes. Larry Zapacheco and Morgan Fryer would be her next victims. She unanimously defeated the first opponent after 3 dominant rounds and submitted the second with a key lock. Do you see Americana? What an easy name, Americana. What is it? With a record of 5-0, she enters the women's lightweight tournament, where she easily defeats Bobby Joe Dalciel with a slick armbar after landing some solid hits on the mat. In the tournament final, she faces Larissa Pacheco again, engaging in another violent battle with her. After 5 violent rounds, Harrison wins by unanimous decision, becoming the Professional Fighters League lightweight champion. And, most importantly, the $1 million prize. Some may argue that being the champion is the most important thing, which is great, but what about taking home that much money? And let's be honest, in a second division promotion, or in a first and a half division, and also, let's be honest, even in women's mixed martial arts, that's a lot of money. Around that time, late 2019, early 2020, coronavirus disease started to mess things up and send millions of people to the creator, and mixed martial arts promoters had a lot of trouble staying in the game. UFC bought an island, while Professional Fighters League halted operations but let its fighters compete in other promotions. And that's how our blonde and muscular protagonist ended up fighting in Invicta Fighting Championship, where she destroyed Courtney King, who clearly didn't stand a chance against Harrison.
That technique to be ready.
This fight, besides the blood on the canvas, showed us the damage Harrison can do when she's able to use her elbows. In Professional Fighters League, it's prohibited. In May 2021, she returned to the Professional Fighters League to face Mariana Moraes, whom she pummeled in less than 2 minutes, landing blow after blow to her face.
She grabs Mariana Moraes tricks.
Luckily, her opponent has darker skin, so it doesn't show too much.
See, that's racist, am I right?
But you're right.
In Professional Fighters League 6, she has to face the native of Belgium, Cindy Dandois, whom our protagonist dominates mercilessly and ends up putting her in her place. The Belgian would be fired from the Professional Fighters League after being submitted by Harrison with an armbar following a good dose of beating. Honestly, I can't think of many firings more cruel and harsh than this one. With a 10-0 record at the time, she enters the women's lightweight tournament again and has no trouble dispatching her 2 opponents. She uses the octopus move on Yena Fabian first. And then she submits Taylor Guardado with another armbar, not without first showing her obvious improvement in stand-up work. This made her the 2-time champion of the tournament, and she added another $1 million to her account. And well, I don't really know how much she actually kept after taxes, because I also don't know how she's taxed. Honestly, I'm too lazy to look it up for this video, but regardless of the country, the tax office will always want its cut. They're going to find you. And I'll kill them, but for sure, it's only for roads and hospitals. After his second tournament win, he takes a 7-month break. Upon return, he achieves 2 victories in under 8 weeks. Defeating Marina Moknatkina by unanimous decision, who was supposed to be a tough opponent due to her Sambo background, but wasn't. And then he crushes Caitlin Young. in the first round with a flurry of punches.
He goes back to
Entering as a lightweight in search of his third belt and, of course, his third million. And he gets off to a good start by readjusting Martina Jindrova's neck with an arm triangle. He advances to the final to face Larissa Pacheco again. But this time, the Brazilian would experience the greatest pleasure a man can have in life, and maybe a woman too. And she achieves it by defeating our blonde Armario protagonist by unanimous decision. This result surprised many, but not because they thought Pacheco was given the victory, but because Kayla's performance was, in the opinion of many experts, lacking.
That must have hurt!
Despite expectations, the female Brock Lesnar failed to secure her third belt and $1 million payday, suffering her first loss. It wasn't her night. After this setback, she took a year off, but when she returned, she came back stronger, literally. Because apparently she was taking her vitamins. Or Paulo Costa's juice, or maybe she changed her nutritionist to Ove. Crucially, after returning, she claimed a unanimous decision victory following a fierce battle with Aspen Ladd. After this, she was considered one of the most important stars of Professional Fighters League and one of the best female fighters in the world outside of the UFC. She ends up signing with the company of the Megalodon Dana White after her Professional Fighters League contract ended. Certainly, many people expected to see her in the octagon, but there was doubt about whether she could make 145 pounds, since she used to fight at 155 and looked pretty big. However, these doubts were dispelled on April 13, 2024, when she debuted in the world's most famous octagon, against the former champion Holly Holm, who likely still haunts Ronda Rousey's nightmares. Unlike Ronda, Kayla knew how to deal with the former champion, even landing a head kick on Holm. In the end, Harrison wins by submission with a rear naked choke, making an effective UFC debut. And it's even poetic, because remember, there are many similarities between Ronda Rousey and Harrison. Both come from Judo, both are dominating, and both are blonde. And starting in the UFC by defeating the person who began Ronda's downfall is even poetic.
That make life pleasant.
After a good debut, she spent almost 6 months out, during which time she was very busy with UFC matters and teaching Judo to Putin. At UFC 307, she returns to action against Ketli Vieira, whom she dominates for 15 minutes of action. That same night, Juliana Peña was crowned champion again, and after her victory, a potential fight against our protagonist was anticipated. But instead of that, she asked Amanda Nunes to come out of retirement to supposedly have one of the best fights in history.
What I would like is for Amanda to stop avoiding me and return to the octagon. That would be the biggest fight in mixed martial arts history. But
no. Finally, the fight between Juliana Peña and Kayla Harrison would be scheduled by the Bald Megalodon team for the UFC 316. But before stepping into the octagon, a few things were said.
Kayla, how are you going to beat me? Like I asked you last time, are you going to mount me and waste time for 25 minutes?
Like you.
Defeat me?
You've been arrested 3 times, you are
11-5, it doesn't matter. You've lost more fights than I've lost rounds in.
mixed martial arts.
Finally, on Saturday, June 7th, 2025, both women step into the octagon to determine who will wear the belt. And as the fight begins, as soon as the bell rings, both women get to work trying to impose their own pace. But it was clear to everyone that there was a huge physical difference. These two women were keeping their distance with defensive strikes until our protagonist managed to close the gap and enter the clinch with Peña, whom she managed to take down. Knowing that Kayla is dangerous, Ras de Lona hugs her and closes the distance. Well, an elbow or a good hit from the blonde could result in a hard reset in the brain. Maybe because of that desperation, Peña ends up making the mistake of using pedal or bicycle kicks, as some people call them. And she ended up losing a point because they're illegal. With this deduction, Peña had to knock out or submit her opponent to win, but instead, she got submitted in the second round. After being taken down and threatened with an arm triangle, Kayla switches to trapping the isolated arm, locking in a powerful kimura that forces Peña to tap. It's worth noting that by winning this belt, she becomes part of the elite group of Olympic gold medalists who also became UFC champions. Accompanied only by Henry Cejudo, Ronda doesn't count because she won bronze. Are there levels? With this victory, Harrison joins the list of UFC champions and, on top of that, with the potential to have a lasting reign. She still has to defend the belt to be considered a true champion, but there's talk of Amanda Nunes possibly returning to action. So there's a high chance that both women will end up facing each other if Amanda's return actually happens. We have a video if you want to see her story. With a 19-1 record, she currently holds this spot for pure mixed martial arts wins, coincidentally sharing the place with Amanda Nunes. As of this video, Kayla Harrison is 34 years old and unmarried, although she has dated before, including one she had to file a restraining order against for harassment after their breakup. If such a brute fears his ex, the other must be a ruthless killer. She has no children of her own but had to care for her sister's kids. Here's another story, somewhat murky and dark. Unfortunately, she has an addiction problem, which is why she lost custody of the little ones. And they did the right thing because you should never trust a junkie, so she had to take on the care of the little ones. In my opinion, Kayla's life teaches us that horrible things can happen to us in this world, and that many times those wounds can be caused by the people we least expect. But with the help and support of your family, you can move forward with whatever you set your mind to, and one day, you can be the help and support for your loved ones. Thank you everyone for being there.